Tonight's speaker knows the pain of not reaching the heights that you've dreamed of. What if there was a shortcut to success? What are we but a collection of stories? A huge fan of stories in any form, she knows their incredible power. She has experienced the delight of bringing stories to life on stage and the fun of narrating audiobooks. She's the author of middle grade fantasy adventure series Piper Pan and Her Merry Band, and second runner-up in the 2020 World Championship of Public Speaking. Ooh. There we go. Her father began reading aloud to her when she was born, and now they read aloud to each other on Zoom for hours at a time. Aww. With her presentation entitled Fablework, The Secret Shortcut to Success, please help me welcome Lindy MacLaine.
I can see my pattern. I keep doing the same thing over and over, expecting different results. Einstein would call that insanity. Yeah, absolutely, insanity. Tell me, where in your life do you experience repeated disappointing results? Professional life, personal life, same day, different story, same story, different day, different day, same story. We all have our stories. But sometimes, instead of telling our story is telling us. Now, I think there's nothing better than a really good story. When I was a child, I spent hours in my attic reading nook, not just reading, but inhaling fairy tales, dragons, unicorns, magical dancing shoes, and best of all, they all live happily ever after. Raise your hand if that's what you want for yourself. Yes, if you don't have your hand raised, Joe, I don't believe you. Okay. In contrast to those happily ever after hours in the attic, stands my real life. I am one lonely kid and young adult. We move all the time. I'm always an outsider, and I fail over and over to gain the social skills necessary to make friends. Well, I have 3 brothers, but they're boys. So here I am, experiencing this pattern, and my pattern looks like this: failure, isolation, loneliness, shame. Failure, isolation, loneliness, shame. Many years later, I will come to learn that underneath this pattern lies a belief and a wound so deeply ingrained that I don't even know it's there. I don't matter. This was the spell that no fairy godmother came to break. And you know, you have a spell of your own like that, maybe of a different flavor. But these deep beliefs are such that they're like lenses through which you see everything. It affects what you pursue, what you don't even bother to try, who you love. It affects absolutely everything. Psychologists call these deep beliefs that we form in childhood core schemas. And left unexamined, they can run our entire lives. Well, that's cheerful, isn't it? So now we're jumping way ahead, decades ahead. Past therapy, I learned to talk myself in circles and get absolutely nowhere. Then there's self-help books. It might help if I would have done the exercises at the end of the chapter. And there was even a hot, sexy period of knitting. Pot holders. Oh yeah. So I have a whole pile of them here because I made a lot of pot holders. Well, here's my very first one. Oh, it's kind of got a lot of holes in it, but you might burn yourself, but I bet you want it anyway, right? Yeah, okay, and here's this one. Candy stripe, red and white. How about that one? Yeah. Oh, and this one's really she. Seed stitch and cable knits. Do you like it, Ethan? Okay, yeah, cool. And somehow, I am 60 years old. And I'm sitting with my friend, highly intuitive, very wise, Jeffrey. I used to love fairy tales, I say. The magic, the archetypes. What if, says Jeffrey, you use that magic to better understand yourself, to re-story your life. Find your fable, free yourself. Find your fable, free yourself? Well, I have nothing to lose. So I begin to write. Little do I know, I am about to change everything. Once upon a time, into a world of straight lines and sharp edges is born an intuitive, sensitive girl child with blue fairy wings. She's a changeling, says her father. Leave her outside. Let him bring back our real daughter. In the cold spring air, crying, wet, hungry, knowing that her parents had abandoned her, she pulls those wings all the way back inside her body, hiding her magic. The next day, her parents reclaim her, but the seed has been sown, and the wound will be reinforced again and again. You don't matter. So, of course, she spends her life trying to prove that she does matter. Sound familiar? She took on task after task, job after job. One on a desert island. You must count the grains of sand. You can imagine how that went. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Next, in a grand hotel. There are 500 bathrooms. You must clean them all in a single shift. You don't want to imagine how that went. Finally chose work in a basement. Dark, no one to witness her failure or her shame. Just one bare light bulb, a bale of straw, and a spinning wheel. You must spin the straw into gold. What am I, Rumpelstiltskin? I've never spun anything in my life. Completely fed up, she wept tears of salty sadness and fed up frustration. So this is what her life had come to. And then help appeared. Out of the corner of her eye shimmered into view a fairy. Older, kind of frumpy, but a fairy nonetheless. Are you my fairy godmother? Have you come to take me to the fairyland where surely I belong? Posh and Tuffle, said the fairy. I bring you the mirror of truth. Behold! She didn't want to look. She was ashamed, and she was scared, and she was having a bad hair day. Finally, she peeked, and then she stared. In that mirror, she saw not a woman, but a huge, fierce, grizzly bear, and it roared. What? You thought you were going to hear something? It's a mirror. But she heard that roar in her skull, and it vibrated through every bone in her body. She definitely matters. Recognizing her true self, she knocked over the spinning wheel, tossed the straw in the air, and tore open the basement ceiling, letting in the light and the magic. Taking one final look in that mirror, what was that on the grizzly bear's back but a little pair of blue fairy wings? Like Baloo the bear in the Jungle Book musical, she sang, "Look for those bare necessities, it's why a bear can rest at ease." Not because life was simple, but because she had remembered something essential. She wasn't here to prove her worth. She was born with it. The simple bare necessities of life. Oh yeah, the simple bare necessities of life. Writing that fable cracked something open inside me. And through that crack, my old self could begin to fall away and my true self shine forth. Or shall I say, roar forth. Now, writing a fable with metaphor and narrative, it's not going to change your past, but it does store it in a different place in your brain so you can interact with it differently, so you can make different choices and have different outcomes. My client Joe, who's an entrepreneur, has used his fable to birth a whole new body of work into the world. Annie, who is in her 80s, has taken her fable and used it to experience a day-to-day delight in her life that had eluded her until now. And Sonia came to me with a terminal diagnosis, but she used her fable to celebrate the life she had led, to let go, and to welcome in what was next with an expectant joy that absolutely blew my socks off. Now, when I say find your fable, I don't mean write something cute. I mean go all the way back to the beginning. Name your wound. Choose your ally. Install that belief, the one that will pierce your illusion of who you thought you were and reveal your true magnificence. Remember that happily ever after that you said you wanted? It's waiting for you at the end of your fable. So whenever you're ready, find your fable, free yourself.
It's Lindy!